This is Newsmakers from the Israel Democracy Institute's 19th Caesarea Economic Policy Planning Forum at the College of Management Academic Studies, Rishon LeZion.
Well, there are three, I think, big themes to focus on. One is the danger of a US double dip. Another is the disintegration of Europe, which seems to be happening even as I speak. And the third would be the economic consequences of the Arab Spring. Now, it's hard to see any of these as positives for Israel, so I suspect my remarks will be relatively pessimistic from that point of view. In the West, certainly in the United States, there was a great deal of optimism, if one thinks back over the last 6 months, and an assumption that quite quickly there could be a transition to Western-style democracy. I was always very skeptical about this. Right now, I'd say we were in phase 2 of the revolution. In most revolutions, phase 1 is euphoric, phase 2 is economic crisis. And the economic crisis is very severe and deepening in Egypt. It's pretty bad in Tunisia. The only countries that are in good shape are the oil exporters, and even they have to worry. Even Yemen and Libya, as oil exporters, are countries with major problems. I would say that in phase 3 we will see radicalism making breakthroughs, because that's usually what happens in these revolutionary crises. People are disappointed because they suddenly discover that prices go even higher, unemployment goes even higher, opportunities for young people get even fewer. So in that sense, I think the economic consequences of the Arab Spring are likely to be quite negative. Well, I think there's a fourth specific threat to Israel, which may be underestimated right now, and that is that Israel is growing more and more isolated internationally on the specific question of peace with the Palestinians. When you spend time in Europe, even when you spend time in the United States these days, you become aware that sympathy for Israel is diminishing, and in specifically sympathy for this Israeli government. And my great fear is that Israel is on the road to becoming the South Africa of our time, facing economic sanctions, which to some extent has already begun. That's something that I would be very concerned about if I was operating a business in Israel, because with surprising speed, the changing situation in the Arab world is creating opportunities for Israel's enemies, specifically political opportunities to ratchet up the pressure on Israel. So that's a fourth big worry that I have. Overall, I'm pessimistic because I don't see any major upside outside of China and India for the world economy. China's slowing. I think it's a soft landing story there. India has, if anything, speeded up. So there's still good news when you go to South and East Asia. But closer to home, I think the situation is really quite concerning for Israel. And it may well need to be some kind of political change that changes the mood towards Israel in Europe and indeed in the United States, where after all you have the least sympathetic administration from an Israeli point of view since the foundation of the State of Israel itself.